I've always been fascinated by the what-ifs of history, and today we're diving into a big one. What if the Wright brothers had never achieved powered flight? It's December 17th, 1903, and instead of making history, Wilbur and Orville Wright's aircraft fails to take off. This single event could have dramatically altered the course of the 20th century and beyond. So, let's explore this alternate timeline and see how our world might have looked without the early dawn of aviation. Without the Wright brothers' success, the race for powered flight would have continued, but at a much slower pace. In this alternate timeline, dirigibles and hot air balloons would have remained the primary means of aerial transportation and reconnaissance. Other pioneers like Santos Dumont and Glenn Curtiss would have eventually achieved powered flight, but perhaps not until the 1910s or even 1920s. You know, we might have even seen some pretty wild attempts at creating alternative flying machines. Meanwhile, ground-based technologies like automobiles and trains might have seen accelerated development to compensate for the lack of air travel. Now, you might be wondering how World War I would have played out without airplanes. Well, the lack of air reconnaissance and combat aircraft would have significantly altered military strategies. Navies would have relied more heavily on surface ships for scouting, potentially changing the outcomes of major sea battles. Tank technology could have advanced more quickly, becoming a dominant force on the battlefield earlier. Long-range artillery and rocketry might have received more attention, leading to earlier developments in missile technology. The war in the Pacific would have been fundamentally different, relying much more on island-hopping naval campaigns. The implications of this flightless world on post-war globalization and technological progress are pretty staggering. Without commercial aviation, international travel and trade would have remained reliant on ships and trains for much longer. Space exploration would have faced a major setback in this timeline. We might not have seen the space race of the 1960s, and our first steps into space could have been delayed by decades. Our approach might have been quite different, possibly focusing more on ground-launched missiles or even alternative technologies like space elevators that we haven't fully explored in our timeline. In the end, this alternate history shows us just how pivotal the Wright brothers' achievement was. Their success accelerated a century of unprecedented technological progress and global connection. While we can't know for certain how things would have unfolded without their flight, it's clear that our world would be a very different place. So the next time you board a plane or watch a rocket launch, take a moment to appreciate how those 12 seconds in 1903 helped shape the world we live in today.